What up YouTube, it's Missouri's Company. It is almost time for the HORDE Dungeon to go away. So I've been trying to actually make a video on this for the last few days. However, there's been a massive bug in the game that actually stops you from being able to do dungeons. So I wanted to make a video about that as well. So we're going to just combine this into two videos. So Dire Maul, or the HORDE Dungeon currently, will literally end in just a few hours by the time you see this. You're going to want to stop what you're doing and push this so you can get as many of your hordes to gold as fast as you can. Because honestly, this is such an amazing boost to the overall damage and efficiency of these decks that you're going to want to max all of them, because they're going to nerf and buff all the different classes, I'm sure, at different points in the game. So you're going to want to make sure that you have a really well-rounded deck. So having all of them as far as you can pushed is the best idea. You can see I still have a little bit of work to do on mine. I think I'm getting ready to hit Hellscream actually for this video. But like I said, there was actually an issue or a bug that I did confirm with the support team. Do I still have the ticket up? I do. Yeah, so the issue is that you cannot claim rewards at a certain point halfway through the dungeon, and there's no way to clear it. I re-downloaded the game twice, and I tried to like switch my heroes around, and ultimately I did message the support team being like, look, I literally can't even play dungeon at this point. Like, it's literally game breaking. I can't even do a dungeon that is very limited time. And if you're not aware, it's actually going to be changing, like I said, in 13 hours to the rock one, the mountain one. And then that means I have to wait, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 5 weeks to do HORDE again, which is, that doesn't feel great. So ultimately I did get it, I guess, fixed. It just sort of goes away with time, but it does take away a decent amount of your time if you do get the bug. But I did want to make it very clear that they are working on it. The support ticket said that the dev team is aware and has an article posted on it. There's no real fix, unfortunately. You can try restarting your game. You can try re-downloading the game. That does work sometimes. Like I said, it did not work for me. I've had the bug twice. But ultimately, it does go away after a while, but it does sort of chip away at your time in game, at least for the dungeons. You can still play the whole game, but just not the dungeons when you have that bug. So hopefully you don't get it, but if you do, be patient. Try re-downloading the game. Hopefully it works for you. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into this. There are mechanics in this fight that I really want to bring attention to, because if you don't do it the right way, you could very easily lose. And I have the same strategy for, like, no matter which deck I use for the HORDE, and they all seem to work. So let's go and see which one we want here. I actually like the grunts because they're pretty tanky, I'm not gonna lie, and it helps keep added pressure all over the map. So that is the relic we pick. It is going to take a little bit to load because we are on blue stack. So I'm just going to cut over to the actual gameplay. All right, so here we are in the very first round. Now, before we hit start, you do want to try to make your best effort to get this gold, like PvP, like in PvE, and even in dungeons. You're going to want to make sure your gold income is as high as possible. You just want to make note about some of these guys as well, like where they start. I usually just literally split it, so because you do have pressure coming from both sides in the beginning, but let's go and get to it. All right, I'm just going to throw him here to pick that up. I'm going to drop Hellscream right there. Let's get a tank on... Actually, let's get a healer for Hellscream. Put that on him. Put it on him. That's not good. All right, let's go ahead and drop him here. That should actually be a decent push with just those guys, actually, believe it or not. And then we'll get some added help here. Yeah, I thought they were going to spawn someone. And then, let's see. So we're about to lose that lane. I might be able to just execute it, but I won't. All right, let's go and get that gold income. So we did get the tower on the left side. Now we're just going to slowly sort of progress the tower on the right. I don't want Hellscream to take unnecessary damage, so I just wait for him to hit my tower. Later on, you're not going to want to take that tower damage, just FYI, but this early, at this low a level, it's not too terrible. So again, just sort of push where we can, and then we should be good there. Okay, cool. Let's go and get some help on these guys, get some executes. Execute is the skill that I'm using. I will actually showcase the deck at the very end, so make sure you watch this video to the very end so you can be aware. And at this point, you just keep pushing. You just overwhelm him. You got the push coming from both sides. The first one is meant to be easy. Obviously, it's the first round. And we just sort of put everyone in there just to damage them out, and we should be done here in just a second. Boom, done. So basically, you just want to overwhelm and sort of balance your minis on both sides, and that will overwhelm both turrets, and then you can just progress like you would normally in any other game mode. The other ones is where it gets a little hairy, so we're going to go ahead and jump to the second round in the dungeon. Here we are. I'll see which talents we'll pick real quick. Tank minis cost 1 less. That's usually the one I pick up because we do use a lot of tanks in this build. Siblings, no. Yeah, no. All right, so the -1 gold for tanks is actually super nice in this tank deck that we're using, because we have 3 different tanks. All right, now we'll jump into the gameplay for the second round. And like I said, this one at very early levels is very easy, but you can easily get sort of overwhelmed. So you want to keep the strategy that I'm getting ready to show you in mind. So let's get straight to it. Here we are. Now there's only one tower you need to worry about. And honestly, I ignore it almost every single time I play this. The tricky part, I don't want to say tricky part, but you do get the Eye of the Voids that detonate near people. It does AoE damage. But actually the hardest part is you get the banshees that come in, and when they take Hellscream, it becomes a bit of a problem. So you want to be mindful of that and hopefully have a ranged unit close enough to Hellscream to blow them up before they actually get to them. But the first thing I do is actually run a tank on the far left side with a healer if I can. And then we're just going to get ready to play defense here. So you can see there's the Banshee I was talking about. So yeah, she took that. I hate Banshees, man. All right, but it was close enough to the tower where it becomes a non-problem. We're going to go ahead and get the gold there. I do need him to start pushing up. All right, we're going to have to just get this tower with the grunts, which is fine. All right, let's do that. Man, these guys might actually not even win this. What are we doing up there, boys? Boys, let's go. All right, they should easily pick that up. Hopefully, don't kill my healer. That would be terrible. I want Hellscream up here. Let's go. Gonna have a nice push as soon as I can spawn Hellscream, because I'll be able to do the Hellscream and a healer. Let's do it now. And a healer. Don't put the shield in the wrong one. She did. Love that for us. All right, let's get a execute on these minis up there. Let's get our tank boyo in the back. See if we can rotate him around a little bit. Get some more. Right now, I'm literally just full focusing the push. Yeah, the damage there is a lot with that guy in the back. So hopefully we'll get someone there. Let's see if I can get that. All right, now we're close to execute phase, so we're getting ready to hit execute when it comes up. I'll prioritize that, hit these minis, do a ton of damage to those guys, and then Hellscream will finish it off for us. So the second one, again, just easy peasy. But again, you want to push that far left side, ignore the middle lane, ignore the tower. Just push, like literally just zerg the boss is my strategy with all decks. Again, these strategies that I'm using are the same for every single deck. The last fight of this dungeon is where everyone seems to have a really hard time. So make sure you watch this to the very end, because that's what's going to be most important to you. All right, so before we get to the last fight, let's go and see what talents I would pick based off what they offer. All right, so we have playing your leader summons 2 skeletal mages. Wow, mages sound really good. Whenever you have 3 or less active minis on the field, they gain Bloodlust. Meh. Yeah, we're going to go for that skeletal mage. That sounds real nice. So this is the fight that is very, very challenging if you don't do it right. So let's go and show you guys the strategy. All right, so here we are in the boss fight. Now, the strategy is very important because there's one tower, but then you also have these little mini bosses off to the sides. Now, the coolest thing about them is once you get them to about like 10 to 15% health, they actually they switch sides. So they're literally traitors. But keep that in mind that if they then die in the push, they will flip sides again. So once you get them on your team, you do want to make sure that you try to win the fight while you have them, because otherwise they will turn against you. And when you're fighting in this boss area, that's not a good time. Just trust me. You don't want to do that. You want to make sure you have minis with them to protect them, and then ideally win in that last push. So the important part is the boss definitely has sort of like a rage or fury mechanic where he increases the attack speed with each attack. So the longer that he is in battle, the more damage he's going to be doing. So if the battle continues, you want to almost do it in phases is how I look at it. I try to do like a phase 1, and then my phase 2 is a strategic burst, and that's when you have to win on phase 2, otherwise, man, it gets really, really tough. Now this guy in the back is mega annoying because he actually heals nearby enemies, including himself. So the hard part is you're going to want to pull the boss away from him so he doesn't just slay you, and then you are going to want to just focus this guy down first, because once he's dead and he can't heal the boss, the fight is so much easier. But it's getting him dead that's the problem, and that's also why, spoiler, we have execute in our deck. So up front, we're going to go ahead. Wow, I didn't get a single tank. Well, I mean, he'll work. Let's go and get Hellscream in there too. And our healer. I forgot we had the grunts. That's awesome. And then, so right now, I'm just sort of seeing how the minimal amount that I can get in a push. And then I'm going to go ahead. Is that enough? It should be enough. I'm going to go ahead and start my second push, which is generally, does he do? Yeah, the poison will be fine. The gold ready? The gold is ready. So I do a tank, an AoE unit, and then I always do my gold. Now you see we won the tower. We're going to let that push. These guys are going to die. They're literally dead. I promise. Let's go ahead and get this guy here. Now I'm going to work on my second push. or my third push, I guess you could say. So we're going to start getting Hellscream over there. He's got his mages. Love that little artifact that we got. You can see our team is doing okay, but they're really just buying time. What we really want is these guys to get involved, and we're going to do that all at the same time. So now I can see that we're starting to win. I got my execute right where I want it. I'm going to go ahead and start progressing a bit. We're going to get the gold here too. I'm going to give them one more guy that'll come in late on that side. We'll do the Harpies. Again, you see we're pulling him away from everyone else. That is the goal there. And then, all right, so he's going to get that gold. So our gold income should be fine. Now I'm going to go ahead and get to execute phase. When it comes to this guy, I'm going to drop my tank on him. I'll need 3 executes, I believe. But this is also where it's super nice that we have, there you go. So we pulled him far enough away. That's why you push this lane second. So that way you can actually pull the boss away. Now I'm almost at my next execute. I'm just going to toss this guy in. Actually, we might just win without it. So we were able to focus down, pull the boss away because we did the middle lane first, then the far right, and then the far left. So you go 1, 2, and 3, and then by the time the second guy gets there, he pulls the boss all the way over because the boss eliminated your first push, and then by that time, the third lane will actually be able to come around and take out that healer. Now, there are times in higher dungeons where you're going to need to execute 3 times, and you'll actually need all 3 executes to beat the healer. But again, if you take this strategy into effect, you can actually win really at even higher levels because you have the assistance from those little mini bosses. Now I'll show you guys the deck that I'm using. All right, first let's go ahead and claim our rewards. Yay, we did it. And then +3. Army upgrade available, new dungeon level 20, which is also +3. So we're going to want to try to do that because then I think you get 3 upgrades at that one. So the spell is the one I'm going to use first because I want to get the extra levels on execute for the dungeon. See what we're doing here? We are upgrading our traits that for things that'll be most efficient for us in the dungeon that we're using. So keep that in mind. And then that should unlock level 20, I guess. I don't know. I just want to click on it and see what it does. And it still says +1. All right, that's fine. I'll do that later. But anyway, so now you can see the actual deck that we're using. So obviously we're using Garish Hellscream. The talent we have is Mirror Image. He just has 2 additional mirror images that also attack, but they are very fragile. So they're very, very easy to kill. So keep that in mind. Now we're also using Stone Hoof Tauren, and we're using after connecting the Pummel, which after connecting a charge stun the target for 3 seconds. I don't know if that's necessarily the best one. Some of these I picked up when I was still very, very new to it. Immediately charge a second time if possible. Yeah, I mean that one's okay. It'll stun people in the middle. Yeah, that one's all right. I'm good with that one. Next up is going to be Dark Spear Troll. So we are using the Serpent Sting talent, which has gained poison. And honestly, that's still the one that I would pick. I think other people pick other ones, but this is the one I liked because I use him to push towers in little mini bosses. So the poison, the extra damage is really nice. You could do the health to keep him a little bit more, add some survivability, and then the increased attack and movement speed is okay. I mean, flat attack is nice, but it stacks up to 50%. It doesn't say how long it lasts, so I don't usually pick that one. Next up is Harpies. Now the Harpies one, I do have the wrong talent. Thank you for an individual that will remain nameless in my comments who was a little rude about it. But I, again, am new to the game. I did not play prior to the global launch like a lot of other content creators did. So I'm learning this and I'm human, okay? I'm sorry. But anyway, so I picked Talon Drive for the additional damage. But Infectious Swipes is the one that gives you the most overall damage. So make sure you pick that. The internet's full of fun people. Anyway, now this one, I did pick the right talents. So Frostwolf Shaman, Earth Shield is by far the best in my opinion, and I want to say generally accepted as the best, because the Chain Lightning is pretty shit for this mini, so it does close to like no damage. And then once per deploy, place a totem that periodically heals a nearby tower or base. I mean, ideally, yeah, no. Earth Shield is by far the best. I literally drop the Shaman right next to Hellscream as much as possible so that Hellscream gets that armor to make him extra tanky. Next up is Quillburrow. Now, I don't have the best talent on him, so I'll go ahead and talk about that now as well. I am using Bristleback, so deals a small amount of damage to melee attackers, so the more that he's getting attacked, he will then do damage to other people. Tunnel Vision deploys much more quickly, and then Bramble Burst inflict poison on nearby enemies when emerging. So it's only during the emerging stage, but the best one is Tunnel Vision because he deploys much quicker. That one will be good for like more PvP as well. I went with this one. It's still good, but it's, in my opinion, this one's a little bit more well-rounded for PvE and PvP. And I use them in PvP, but really only to get gold, and that's where the tunnel vision is better. So there are your options for that one. Last but not least, we are running execute. And I'm using Killing Spree. If an enemy is killed, the next horde mini costs 1 less. Wow, I don't know when I picked that, but I don't love it. So Bloodthirsty, Bloodlust allies within spell area for 10 seconds. Okay, knock enemies away from the cast location. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I only use this for this dungeon as of right now. So maybe Bloodlust would have been nice. That way you could like burn down that little mini boss and the boss quicker. But yeah, actually that's definitely the one you should pick. Because this one you're like, by the time you kill it, you've won. Like, that's the only time I'm using execute, hint the name. But anyway, that's the deck, guys. That's the strategy I use for this dungeon. Like I said, there's only a few hours left, so make sure you're using this guide to get as many gold as you can. Ideally, you max out at least 1, but as many of the heroes as you can, because it's going to be several weeks before you get it back. So if you thought this video was helpful, make sure you like it. And until next time, guys, lock it in.